successful as a species. We are doing a lot right. There are animal species that live far less than we live. We are gods or Darwin's success. So you can look at yourself with some pride. Now, having said that, things are finite. They have to end. The natural order of things is really lack of structural organization. They call it chaos theory, second law of thermodynamics. Left by itself, things will be disordered. The human body is a remarkably ordered entity, and it is superstructured to deal with many, many different threats. However, there are problems, and we are now exploring the edges of those problems. In the old days, we said when the population increases too much, Malthus, he said, we just fall off the cliff and we commit suicide as a species in order to control our population. So there's a lot that is right. The key is to learn more and in a rational sort of a way to apply the knowledge with minimal, we talked about politics earlier, with minimal political interference, with more sense of confidence, and I think a lot is conquerable already.
Does diet have anything to do with my inbuilt immunology?
Yes, the immune system, like everything, all our other systems, the nervous system or the digestive system or the reproductive system, the things we eat, they control how the systems work. And there are specific chemicals that either bolster immunity or decrease immunity. Overdoing things or sometimes decreases it. Now, having said all that, there is also a lot of quackery, and you know, one has to really believe in. We need to have evidence-based dietary recommendations and medicine in general.
Now, Dr. Sudhir Paul, you have said to us that diet could have an impact on your immunological system, the body's mechanism to defend itself against attack from outside elements. So what does Dr. Sudhir Paul have for breakfast, lunch and dinner?
Yeah, it's a little bit unruly. I know how to say the good things, but it's practice is difficult. So it's just some cereals, and I like to eat fancy food periodically, once in a while. But generally, it's humdrum, mostly regulated food. My wife sees to it. She is scared that I'm a profligate in many ways, so she takes care of it.
You've referred to Mrs. Paul, so here's a personal question. One fine day, you see this wonderful lady walk in, and you say, "Wow, marry me." Is that how it happened?
It really did. I mentioned earlier science talent, the scheme. Yep. So we were both science talent scholars, and I met her at a summer school in Pune, and both she and I, we didn't ask each other for marriage right away, but we knew that we were going to hitch up, if you will, and we were hitched up for 7 years before we got married. She knew and I knew. It really did happen that way.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have a remarkable sister who is a professor in Delhi University of English Literature, and she, in fact, during this visit, because of my old age and the amyloid that's building up, I get frustrated sometimes, dispirited. When she learned about my work, we were talking about it, she really energized me, and I draw strength from her. And my brother is an architect. He's successful. He lives in Gurgaon. So we are three of us.
Yeah, a moment ago you referred to because of my old age. Now, which my were you talking about? I don't see an old person sitting in front of me.
Yeah, it's just, again, what keeps us all going, it's a human truth that until we keep using our minds and are interested in things, the lust for life, that's what keeps us young, if you will. When you want to fade away gently, so this old age issue, I guess let me make it into a sort of a scientific and a little bit philosophical issue also. I'm funded by an agency that is actively saying that old age can be, we must think of it as we want to cure it. The old days, we used to say old people should just fade away. that in fact in India we know that in the fourth part of our life, fourth stage of our lives,
Vanaprasthan.
yeah, exactly, you do sannyas or you just go and die peacefully without bothering other people. Let the younger people live and we fade away. So this agency actually is making it a philosophical struggle. We must pay as much attention to old age as we do, as much attention as we give to babies. The amount of money we spend. So this guy who runs the foundation, he actually argues to politicians exactly that. They call themselves, they used to call themselves the Methuselah Foundation.
Yeah.
And now they have another name is Society for Engineered Negligible Senescence. So we should not weaken our body. How to stop the weakening, which is what I was referring to earlier.
And are you happy with the work that is being done?
The work, I think once you have a philosophical commitment to an objective, it's curious how that intellectual commitment sort of improves the quality of the work. We have to sort of tell ourselves this must be done, and then we start doing it. So the work has there's a journal. It's called Rejuvenation Research. How to rejuvenate the body. So yes, there's a whole lot of debate going on, and good things again are happening. I'm an optimist. I've said this many times. Good things are happening. I do believe in that.
I was just wondering why people in my organization have given me a nickname, Virus. But are we able to predict what will be the next big thing in terms of an attack on our immunological system?
No, first, let me compliment you that your enthusiasm is infectious, that you speak in a good way.
Thank you. Thank you.
The next big thing, I think it's sort of unpredictable, but it will come from mutations. Viruses mutate, they change their structure remarkably fast, and our immune system has really developed to cope with existing viruses. So if our immune system is too slow in mounting a defense, the virus wins over. But in the long run, yes.
And now one more question pertaining to the kind of work you do. The Prime Minister of India recently launched the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, which has fired the imagination of the nation. How important do you think is cleanliness in dealing with viruses?
Well, I believe we've talked about God and viruses, so I'll say cleanliness is next to godliness. And I believe that there is a well-established hypothesis theory, the hygiene theory. Cleanliness is essential. We'll be able to deal with a lot of disease simply by being more hygienic. And then, of course, the people, for viruses that are intractable, we need specialized new medicines.
So you've just heard a distinguished immunologist, Dr. Sudhir Paul, tell you that cleanliness is next to godliness. Some of you might have believed that cleanliness is next to impossible. It isn't. It's next to godliness. Dr. Paul, how far are we from really 100% effective vaccines against some of the diseases, the ailments that we've talked about?
So we spoke of HIV.
Sure.
I think if sufficient resources are devoted to it within the next 10 years, a preventative vaccine would be available. There are competing approaches. There is a lot of work going on. We ourselves, as I mentioned earlier, have the only documented vaccine approach that can combat viruses around the world. These mutations are the big deal in viruses, and India has different. So we spoke of genetic differences in humans. Those are marginal, 0.1%. But the virus, HIV in India, is far different from the virus in the United States. So we need we need homegrown solutions, and the solution that might work in the United States may not work here. RB144 was directed, the trial that you mentioned, against the US strain of virus, which is genetically different from the one in India.
So virus treatment should be ethnicity specific, country specific, race specific? In
the classical approach, that's what the sorry state of affairs is, that we've been reduced to saying let's make a virus against a vaccine against the US virus. But that's a sorry state of affairs. It's because people don't know how to attack the broad diversity of viruses, which I keep touting our own approach, but I do so because I really want to fulfill the objective of testing our approach. Our approach actually targets the entire gamut, the entire universe of viruses, HIV strains that exist around the world.
Dr. Sudhir Paul, thank you so much for being on India's National Network and for speaking to us about the very exciting work that you are doing as Professor and Director of Chemical Immunology Research Center at the University of Texas. It's been a great pleasure to talk to an outstanding son of India like you.
And it's been a great pleasure for me. Thank you
very much. हम लोग बातचीत कर रहे थे with Dr. Sudhir Paul, Professor and Director of the Center for Chemical Immunology Research at the University of Texas. वायरस का अगर एक नंबर 1 दुश्मन है तो उसका नाम है Dr. Sudhir Paul. He is an outstanding, distinguished scientist from India. और अगर अगले कुछ सालों में आने वाले सालों में आप देखें कि HIV एड्स जैसी भयंकर बीमारी के लिए हमें एक वैक्सीन मिली है तो फाइन प्रिंट ज़रूर पढ़िएगा. यू विल प्रॉब्ली रीड समवेयर डिस्कवर्ड बाय दिस इंडियन डॉक्टर सुधीर पॉल. आप देख रहे हैं अपना राष्ट्रीय नेटवर्क दूरदर्शन. रहिए हमारे साथ, ढेर सारे कार्यक्रम अभी आपके लिए बाकी हैं.